All right, so let's talk about the screenplay formatting and using the Celtx program to write a screenplay using standard Hollywood formatting so that we have the correct format that everyone's dialed in and on the same page. We can get a job doing this, right? We've all signed up for Celtx and we all have an account, which is good. And now it's time to start writing a story. Hopefully, you have a little bit of an outline of what you want to do, maybe a general plot idea. We've talked about using three-act structure and kind of those guideposts of the hook, exposition, call to adventure, and those things to help us kind of guide us on our way with our story. But now let's actually start to type it up. So what you're going to do is you're going to log into Celtx, and your Celtx probably won't look like mine because I have a lot of stories that people have shared with me, asking me to look them over. But you probably won't have any here. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit New Project up here, and of course we want to choose Film and TV because that is the thing that we're working in. We're not making a video game. We're not writing like a weird like presentation or radio play. We're definitely not doing a stage play like theater, right? We're doing film and TV. So let's choose that one. And here it's asking us to name our project. So I'm going to call my project Rap Battle Wizards. Yep, it's going to be great. And we're going to hit Create Project. And it's going to build it. And then here it is, Rap Battle Wizards. And it takes us inside it. I really like to, you can change the little logo of your story. You can upload a picture. Like I'm just going to choose this one for funsies, and that's going to be like that way. It kind of helps it to stand out among the other projects. It's easy to kind of find it. You got a little logo for your production, which is cool. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to hit screenplay. Blammo. Click that, and it's going to after a second or two load us into Celtx, and here we are. It's just a big blank page staring us in the face, which can be kind of intimidating. But that's why hopefully you have a little outline of where your story is going to go, right? The hook, what's going to happen in the hook. I already know what's going to happen in the hook in my story. Exposition, call to adventure, and all those things. I kind of have my whole act one and pretty much the whole thing laid out, I should say, but if sometimes it comes organically. Once you start writing, ideas will start to come. And just remember, you don't always have to write linear. It doesn't have to start at the beginning and end at the end. Some people like to start in the middle of a scene and expand the other way. And you can always, it's malleable. You can change it, delete it, start over, do whatever you need to do. All right. So now in Celtx, we all know the first thing that you have to have when you start a movie is a scene heading. And you see this drop down box right here is the key to this entire program. Whatever you choose in this box, whether it be scene heading, action, character, dialogue, parenthetical, or transition, those are the 6 parts of screenplay that we've gone over in other lessons, and those are the pieces you need to use to build your screenplay. So whenever you start a new scene, what do you have to have? You have to have a scene heading, and Celtx automatically starts us on the scene heading choice because it knows that's what you need to have. So remember, scene headings have to have 3 things in them. They have to have a declaration of it, whether it's inside or outside. That's the first thing it's got to have. So my first scene is going to start outside. So I'm going to start with EXT for exterior, right? So if it was inside, if my movie was starting inside, I'd go INT and a period like that. But it's not. I'm going EXT and I'm starting outside. Now, the second thing that a scene heading has to have is it has to have a location. So I want my scene to take place at House 3 at DVHS. And then I'm going to put a dash, and I'm going to put the third thing that all scene headings have to have, and that is a time of day. And I'm just going to go with a real simple day here. You can go real simple, day or night. You can get slightly more complex, which is what I like to do, and kind of if it's morning, day, evening, or night, maybe sunrise, maybe sunset. Some people like to get real specific. It is 12:35. But I would say you don't need to get that specific unless the scene calls for it. Unless there's a specific reason the scene needs to be at 12:45, just go with day, right? If it's 12:45 in the afternoon, that's just day. And then, like I said, like sunrise, sunset. If the light is something different than day, right? Day we think of high noon, kind of between 10 and 5 p.m. That midday sun. Once it gets to the evening or dusk, then I'll call it something different. So my scene is going to start outside House 3 DVHS in the daytime. you notice that scene headings are all capped and they're on the left edge of the page. And Celtx does that formatting for you, which is really, really nice. Once you push enter, pow, after a scene heading, you see that Celtx automatically changes the drop down type to action because it knows that after a scene heading, you're most likely going to be writing action. And action is anything that the audience can see or hear on the screen. And you want to write this in kind of, you know, present tense language and just being very descriptive, right? For instance, if I did something like, start over here, if I do interior bedroom night, right, everyone's going to have a different vision of that bedroom in their head. Whereas if I then continue in my action description with like a bare mattress lays on the ground, a single bare light bulb hangs from the ceiling, and a rat scurries by, right? That gives a very definitive image in our head of what the scene looks like compared to, you know, an immaculate bedroom with a large queen bed, bright white sheets, a vanity with many perfumes on it, right? Those two bedrooms, they're both interior bedroom night, but because of my action description, I have painted a different picture in my reader's head. And I want to make sure that everyone who reads my story is getting kind of the same image in their head. I don't want to leave it up to personal interpretation, right? I want to make sure that it's pretty locked in. So going back, we're going back to house 3 at DVHS, and it is daytime. I'm going to have a kid, Jimmy. So I'm going to introduce my character, and character names need to be written in all caps. A kid, Jimmy, who is, let's call him, he's 15, who is scrawny, nerdy looking, with taped together glasses, is being chased by Billy, who is 17. He's large, imposing, I don't know, scary looking. Let's just go with that. He's being chased by Billy, who's 17. He's large, imposing, and scary looking. Billy chases Jimmy through across house 3, jumping over railings. And I'll probably put a little break in here to make it easier on the eyes. Jumping over railings. Jimmy papers fly out of Jimmy's arms as he runs. He makes his way to the library and ducks inside for safety. Okay, so this has all been action description, and this is the hook of my movie so far. And I'm starting off with a chase sequence to get my audience interested. And anytime you have a chase sequence, audiences are probably going to identify with the underdog, the person who's being chased, right? If you just went with like a squirrel getting chased by a fox, the audience is going to root for the squirrel. It's just human nature. There's nothing you can do about it. So a good way to get your audience to identify with the character is have them start off on the bottom, getting chased by someone, right? Billy chases Jimmy across house 3, jumping over railings, papers, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now he ducks inside the library. I can't just push enter anymore. I have to click my action description button, and I have to click scene heading to add a new scene heading, which is now going to be interior of the DVHS library. And I'm going to go with a time of continued here because it's going from outside to inside. It's not like there's a time jump. We're just continuing the action from where we were. Jimmy ducks inside. We already said he ducks inside. Jimmy runs to the back and hides behind a bookshelf. Billy enters the library just as the tardy bell rings. So here's where I'm going to have a little bit of dialogue. Now, if I just keep pushing enter, you see that it just kind of keeps me in the action description, which is standard capitalization, still on the left edge of the screen, but it's not fully capped, right? Scene headings have 3 parts. They are fully capped on the left edge of the screen. Action descriptions on the left edge of the screen, but it is regular capitalization. It's what the audience can see and hear. So now push return, and I'm going to go here to my drop-down box. I'm going to choose character because I want Billy. You see it makes it automatically cap for me. It's kind of in the middle of the page. And then if I push return, it automatically switches my drop down to dialogue. And Billy is going to say, you can't hide forever, nerd. We'll get you, or I'll get you sooner or later. There we go. And then if I push return, it goes back to character. It thinks that you're going to basically have a conversation. So you see it just kind of keeps bouncing between my 2 characters, but I don't want to do that right now. I just want Billy to speak. So I'm going to push enter, and I'm going to choose action. And I'm going to have Jimmy clutches his bag in fear while hiding. Billy leaves the library. Now I'm going to have Jimmy speak here, character. Jimmy's going to say, I wish that guy would leave me alone. He picks on me every day, right? So this is kind of my exposition. I'm setting up the regular world that Jimmy lives in. This is his everyday life. This is what happens all the time. This is regular. So after the exposition, we know that we need to have a call to adventure. Something needs to break our character out of the everyday, and that's what's going to happen right now. So I'm going to go to action. As Jimmy sits on the ground by the bookshelf, a book, as if by magic, slides itself off the bookshelf and lands in Jimmy's lap. The book is old and dusty, with strange markings and symbols on it. Jimmy wipes the dust off of the cover to reveal the title. And then Jimmy, I'm going to change again. I got to change it to character here. Jimmy is going to say, spells and incantations. There we go. And then what I'm also going to do here is after Jimmy, I'm going to go back right now. I click Jimmy, push enter, and then I change my drop-down box to parenthetical, which, as we know, parentheticals are telling the actor how you want them to read a line. So I'm going to have him read this in a confused tone. So Jimmy, confused, reads spells and incantations, right? As opposed to, if I made him read it hopeful, right, it would be spells and incantations, right? Or surprised or tearful, right? It would be spells and incantations, right? It would be totally different. So depending on how you want your actors to read a line, you can throw a parenthetical. Don't put it every time. I've seen some students throw a parenthetical for every single line of dialogue. It's not needed. You only want it where it's absolutely crucial to make sense, because you don't want to tell the actors too much. You want to let the actor do their job and play the character how they feel the character would play it. But here in this one, I think confused is a helpful note for the actor of how you want this scene to play. So Jimmy says spells and incantations. After that, I need to go back, change back to action, because I want to say, as Jimmy reads the title of the book, a mystical wind blows through the library. Hushed whispers of strange chants. You guys can see my bad spelling on display. I use a lot of spell check. My grammar is good. My spelling, not so good. Hushed whispers of strange chants echo in the distance. want this to really sell as that a call to adventure moment, right? We're going to hit it with some sound effects, with some special effects. This is a big moment here. Um, right, as Jimmy reads the title of the book, a mystical wind blows through the library. Hushed whispers of strange chants echo in the distance. And then we'll say, Jimmy takes the book under his arm and leaves the library. And then I'm going to throw a transition here. So the last thing, if I go to my drop-down box and go to transition, it's going to move my cursor to the right edge of the page, and I'm going to do a fade to black here to signify the end of the scene. Now, you don't have to have a transition to signify the end of the scene. If I had just done, let's say Jimmy takes the book under his arm and leaves the library, and then I do a new scene heading, and I do interior Jimmy's bedroom night, right? We would understand, oh, this scene um, ended and now we're in Jimmy's bedroom night, but that's probably just going to be a straight cut. It's just going to switch between the library and Jimmy's bedroom. But I would like this to kind of sell it a little harder as a big moment. So I'm going to do a fade to black here at the end of the sequence. And then in my next, look at that, one page on the button for Act 1. That's how you like it, right? I got my hook, which is my chase sequence. I've got my exposition, which is Jimmy telling us this happens to him every day. I've got my call to adventure, which is this book entering Jimmy's life and promising to change it. And he takes the book, right? That's the crossing the threshold moment. If he had, just put the book back on the shelf, I don't need you, old book, right? He doesn't answer the call, but because he takes the book, he is going to answer the call. You know what? I might want to go back here. As Jimmy reads the title of the book, Mystical Wind Blows Through the Library, House Whispers. Let's do this. See, again, you don't have to always, you don't have to just write in order. You can go back and add stuff. Jimmy thumbs through the pages, and I'm going to go back to my character, Jimmy. Now, this is really nice. Might be hard to see, but all I've typed is the letter J, but you see that it knows I have a character named Jimmy. So all I have to do is type the letter J and push enter. Oops, let's do it again so it happens in real time. J, enter. There we go. It fills in Jimmy, which isn't so bad to type Jimmy every time. But like, what if you had a character named like Professor Farnsworth Commodore the Third or whatever, right? You don't want to type that every time they're going to say a line of dialogue. So all you'd have to do would be to type it once and then type the letter P, and it would fill it in the next time, which makes life really, really easy. So that is a nice time saver. It also will remember scene headings for you. So if you end up going back to a scene multiple times, it'll fill those in for you automatically as well. So Jimmy thumbs through the pages, and Jimmy is going to read some of the titles of the pages. So they're going to say things like levitation, invisibility, and then rule of threes, right? You always got to put things in threes. The joke should be the third one. Rap battle skills, right? And so as these levitation, invisibility, rap battle skills, right? And then Jimmy, how about this? We'll even add Jimmy gets an excited look on his face and takes the book under his arm and leaves the library. There we go. So I'm a little over a page for Act 1 now. That's okay. I definitely want to explain here that rap battle skills is kind of the thing that he's going to learn from this spell book that he has just found. All right, so this is the correct formatting for a screenplay, and I'm using all of the pieces of the puzzle, right? I've got my scene heading, so you put either INT or EXT. It's the abbreviation for interior, exterior. You have a location, and then you have a time of day. You could even put, I don't know if this movie was super old and this movie took place in 1986, right? You could throw that in there as well. If there's a flashback or something like that. Well, the first time you introduce a character, you want to put their name in all caps and their age and give a little bit of description about them. I don't have a lot of description about the school because I figure most people know what House 3 at Deer Valley looks like. But if I was writing this of a different school, I might explain if it's a very fancy looking school or more of a rundown school, or if I'm in an industrial park or whatever. If I'm not at a school, I need to explain about that location a little bit. Let's see here. Continued. Use that. Used a parenthetical. Right. My character names are capitalized in the center of the page when they're going to say something. Their dialogue is not capitalized. It's just indented. And parentheticals are on their own line. Um, just make sure you just, as long as you use the drop down box, it will solve your problems. Now, even if you make a mistake, like if I click on Jimmy here, my cursor is blinking on Jimmy, and I click here and I change it to scene heading, it changes it into a scene heading called Jimmy. But I can just click that and just send it back to character, problem solved, or change it to transition. Jimmy, the transition, or parenthetical of Jimmy, or action of Jimmy. No, it's really easy. Just choose character, boom. So whatever line your cursor is on, I mean, I could have this whole thing be a scene heading, blam, or a parenthetical, right? That doesn't make any sense at all. But it's pretty easy to change back with the drop down box. Just choosing, right? Just come up here and choose whatever thing you need it to be, right? I can change this into dialogue, blam, change it back into a scene heading, easy peasy. All right. So that is how you use Celtx, and we'll be using that all year to help us write our screenplays. And when you're done, you just come up to the top here, you hit File, you hit Download PDF, and you hit Download, and it throws it into your Downloads folder, and then you can turn that PDF into me on Teams, and it's pretty easy. I mean, that was a page in no time flat because it's a lot of white space, a lot of push and enter. All right, so if you need more help after that, I can help you out, but hopefully that should answer like 95% of the questions on using Celtx. All right, guys. All right, there we go.